Heya Cryptozens, it's 10 p.m. Pacific time. My name is Nikodemus, and welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter, where we take a nightly look at the crypto, NFT, and metaverse space. And keep in mind, nothing in this show should ever be considered financial advice. And it's Saturday, January 28th, 2023. And we had a good amount of interesting news today. I'm not saying it's good news, just that there's a good amount of it. The Federal Reserve said on January 27th that it will be setting some new rules for banks. These rules aim to make sure that different types of banks, such as state banks with deposit insurance, state banks without deposit insurance, and national banks, that they're all treated the same way by regulators. This is so that there's fair competition between them. The new rules will prevent state banks from doing things that national banks are not allowed to do unless they're specifically allowed to by state law. These rules also talk about cryptocurrency and say that national banks are not allowed to own them. State banks are also not allowed to own virtual currencies. And when I say they're not allowed to own them, it's a different kind of thing for a bank than it is for you and I. Banks specifically have to get permission to buy this kind of thing. Since the Federal Reserve hasn't granted any national bank the permission to buy crypto, that would mean state banks can't either. The notice also said that the Federal Reserve believes that issuing stablecoins on public networks is not safe for banks to do. They said, quote, "The board generally believes that issuing tokens on open, public, and/or decentralized networks or similar systems is highly likely to be inconsistent with safe and sound banking practices." Now, railing against something that's open, public, and/or decentralized is exactly the kind of behavior that I've come to expect from central bankers trying to protect their own little turf. In August of 2022, the Federal Reserve also required banks that it oversees to tell them about their plans for virtual currencies and to make sure that they were managing the risks properly. This applied to banks that were already involved in crypto. And speaking of the Federal Reserve, they denied Custodia's application for membership because they felt the bank's focus on crypto assets presented safety and soundness risks. The Fed also said that Custodia's risk management framework was not enough to address concerns about money laundering and terrorism financing risks associated with its proposed crypto activities. The decision about Custodia's application for membership in the Federal Reserve System came after 18 months of waiting. The CEO of Custodia, Caitlin Long, said that the bank is surprised and disappointed by the decision and that the Fed had given them a 72 hours notice before denying the application. Long said that the bank offered a safe, regulated, and solvent alternative to the risky crypto speculators and said that fraudsters had caused problems for some banks. She added that Custodia had actively sought federal regulation and went above and beyond what traditional banks were required to do. The bank's application for a master account, which would allow it to settle transactions with other lenders through the Federal Reserve's payment system, is still pending. The application was filed in October of 2020. In June of 2022, so almost 2 years later, Custodia filed against the Federal Reserve, claiming that the bank was unlawfully delaying its decision on the bank's application for a master account. The law has a deadline of 12 months for the decision on the application. 4 top officials in the Biden administration want Congress to take stronger action to regulate the crypto market. They believe regulators should have more power to protect customers' assets and to prevent conflicts of interest. The 4 senior advisors from the Biden administration include Brian Deese, the Director of National Economic Council, Arati Prepkar, the Director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, Cecilia Rouse, the Chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, and Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor. And they have called on Congress to take more action in regulating the cryptocurrency market. They want regulators to have more power to prevent the misuse of customers' assets and conflict of interest. The officials also suggested that Congress should improve transparency and disclosure for crypto companies, increase penalties for breaking illicit finance rules, and cooperate more with international law enforcement partners. They also advised Congress not to allow mainstream institutions like pension funds to invest heavily in the cryptocurrency market. The officials warned that allowing mainstream institutions to invest heavily in crypto would be a big mistake that would make the financial system more closely tied to crypto. They said that 2022 was a difficult year for cryptocurrencies due to the collapse of a certain stablecoin, which kicked off a wave of bankruptcies. Those bankruptcies culminated in the failure of a major cryptocurrency exchange. Now, they weren't mentioned by name, but the collapses of Luna stablecoin and the FTX crypto exchange were likely on their minds. The officials wrote that some cryptocurrency companies do not follow financial regulations and don't have proper risk controls. They also said that these companies often deceive consumers, have conflicts of interests, do not provide information, or commit fraud. The White House's concerns and recommendations are similar to statements made by U.S. regulators such as Kristen Johnson of the Commodities Futures Trading Commission. We were just talking about how Commissioner Johnson asked Congress to give the commission more power to investigate crypto purchases. The officials also said that the Biden administration will be announcing plans for researching and developing digital assets in the near future. These plans will also help protect consumers by making sure new technologies are secure and beneficial for everyone and not just a select few. They also said that regulations should not fall only on Congress, but also on the administration. And let's stay with the Biden administration here, because the White House released a statement on January 27th that provided a plan for dealing with the risks associated with cryptocurrency. The plan was mostly addressed by the U.S. Congress, and it has two parts. One is identifying the risk of crypto, and the other part is taking action to reduce these risks by using the powers of the executive branch. Now, the first part of the plan is to release a comprehensive framework for digital assets development in September of 2022. This framework was created based on reports from an executive order issued by the president in March of 2022. Now, the second part of the plan is for government agencies to increase enforcement and to give new guidance. These agencies are also creating programs to help people understand the risks of buying crypto. This statement particularly mentions banking regulators and encourages them to keep working on this issue. And keep in mind, the statement was released on the same day that the Federal Reserve rejected an application from a digital asset bank to join the Federal Reserve System. This statement from the White House also mentioned the actions that they would like Congress to take. The White House is asking Congress to take action and lists several tasks for legislators. These tasks include giving more powers to regulators, making it necessary for more information to be disclosed, increasing penalties for bad behavior, giving more money to law enforcement, and following the advice in a report created by the Financial Stability Oversight Council. The authors of the statement also suggested that Congress should not allow mainstream institutions like pension funds to invest heavily in cryptocurrency markets. They're saying that doing so would help prevent the problems caused by cryptocurrency from spreading to the larger financial system. The U.S. Department of Justice asked a judge to change the terms of bail for Sam Bankman-Fried. They want to prevent him communicating with current and former employees of two companies, FTX and Alameda Research. This request was made because Sam allegedly contacted an employee of FTX and tried to influence their future testimony. That employee is the current general counsel for FTX US, Ryan Miller. The Justice Department said in a letter that Sam Bankman-Fried had contacted Miller and said he wanted to reconnect and that they should help each other out. The prosecutors also asked the judge to prevent Bankman-Fried from using certain types of messaging apps like Signal. The prosecutors said in their letter to the court that Sam used the Signal app to contact future and former employees of FTX who had worked for him before. They said that these employees were vulnerable to being intimidated by him. The prosecutors also said that the message from Sam Bankman-Fried was an attempt to influence Miller's testimony. They said that Miller has knowledge about Bankman-Fried's actions when FTX started to run into financial difficulties. Prosecutors said that Miller participated in messaging on Signal and Slack with Sam and a small group of company insiders during the time of events in November of 2022. They said that in those messages, Sam gave instructions for selling investments to pay customers and mentioned that he transferred $45 million from one company to another. Now, if this is true, that means that Sam's statements that the company was stable at the time of collapse would not be true. The prosecutors also told the judge that Caroline Ellison said that Sam used messaging apps that delete messages automatically because he knew that would make it harder for legal cases to use them as evidence. The prosecutors said that this has caused problems for the investigation and that some potential witnesses have described conversations with Sam that have been deleted because of the settings that he chose. Speaking of SBF, his lawyers are asking for him to have access to assets in cryptocurrency that was held by FTX. They say that there's no proof linking him to any unauthorized transactions. Now, Sam is currently out on bail, and he pled not guilty to charges such as wire fraud and money laundering. And that's the point that they're trying to make, is that he hasn't been found guilty of any crime yet. So the state shouldn't deprive him of his property. But that doesn't hold up. And in fact, it points to a deeper problem with Sam's reasoning. It seems like that he thinks all money is infinitely fungible, when it's not. You can't just mix money around, dole it out, and then everything's okay because everybody got paid. You can't just mix customer money with corporate money. You can't just buy something with corporate money and then claim that it's personal property. Now, as part of his bail conditions, Sam is not allowed to access cryptocurrency held by FTX and Alameda Research. This was put in place by the government due to illegal transfers from Alameda wallets. This prohibition also includes any crypto bought with FTX or Alameda funds. His lawyer, Mark Cohen, said that it's been almost 3 weeks since the initial court conference. He said that they assume that the government's investigation has confirmed that Bankman-Fried did not transfer or access those assets. So that's why Cohen said that the bail condition should be removed, because it was not supported by evidence. Now keep in mind, this comes just as the DOJ was asking for additional bail condition that we were just talking about, one that would prohibit him from communicating with certain people, including the general counsel of FTX, Ryan Miller, as they are potential witnesses in this case. Now, Cohen has agreed with the communication restriction, but he wants Bankman-Fried to have access to certain employees, including his therapist, George Lerner. He said that requiring Sam to include his lawyer in every communication with a former or current FTX employee would be a burden and hurt his ability to defend the case. He also said that many of these people are friends, and removing communication would also remove an important source of personal support. I don't know how true any of that is anymore. It looks like everybody ran to the FBI at the first sign of trouble, and everyone is throwing Sam under the bus, rightly or wrongly. Now, how are you going to call these people your fellow conspirators? How can you call them friends when they're selling you out to save their own skin? Cohen also mentioned that Sam had tried to offer his assistance in messages that he sent to the new CEO of FTX, John J. Ray III, but these messages were ignored. The California DMV is working with a company called Oxhead Alpha to create a copy of their current database on a private blockchain called Tezos. This copy is called a shadow ledger. The DMV's Chief Digital Officer, Ajay Gupta, wants to finish building the shadow ledger within the next 3 months. Oxhead Alpha's president, Andrew Smith, said that the DMV's blockchain project can help with many things, specifically updating the DMV's current paper-based systems. He also mentioned that the blockchain can prevent fraud in car sales by making it harder for sellers to hide information about a car's condition, specifically preventing car vendors from hiding the fact that a car is a lemon. Cars that have problems in California are given a special label on their title. Smith said that some sellers move their branded cars to another state to hide the fact that their car is a lemon. He believes that using blockchain technology to keep records can make it easier to track a car's history, and other DMVs may also use this technology. Smith said that having a digital title that is always available is a very useful idea. He also mentioned that Tezos is a good choice for the DMV because it solves difficult problems in a simple way. He said that Tezos is a good choice for the DMV because it has responsible consensus, on-chain governance, and institutional-grade security. He also said that other government agencies in California may use blockchain technology. In May of 2022, California's Governor Gavin Newsom ordered state government agencies to explore and find ways to use blockchain. Newsom said that California is a good place for new technology, and that they will use blockchain technology for the benefit of the public, to protect consumers, and to encourage innovation. The IRS has released a list of rules for reporting cryptocurrency on federal income tax returns. They updated the term virtual currencies to digital assets in their forms. All U.S. citizens must answer questions about their digital assets even if they haven't done any transactions with them. The IRS added questions to 3 forms, the 1040, 1040-SR, and 1040-NR. These forms ask if a person received any digital assets as a reward for payment, or if they sold, exchanged, gifted, or disposed of any digital assets during the year 2022. Now, everybody who files taxes must answer the question about digital assets with a yes or no. The IRS has given 9 examples when the answer should be yes. These include, but are not limited to, receiving, earning, transferring, or selling cryptocurrencies for money, and also mining or staking. People who answer yes must also report any income that they made from their digital asset transactions. The only time you can check no on the tax form is if you only held your digital assets, transferred them between your own wallets, or bought them with fiat. And just in case it needs to be said, I do not give financial advice. I do not give legal advice. Go talk to your accountant or go see your lawyer. And that's going to do it for us tonight. I want to thank you, my listeners, because when you stop listening, I will stop talking. If you enjoyed the show, please like, follow, subscribe, maybe leave a comment or a review. We'll see you tomorrow night.